Phantom Thread is directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, and it's also written by him, and supposedly he's the director of photography as well. And it also stars Daniel Day-Lewis, Vicky Krieps is how I believe you pronounce her name, and Leslie Mansville. Now, the three of them are the major characters and really the main players in this movie, and how their relationship evolves, I guess you could say, and possibly devolves in certain areas. But overall, Daniel Day-Lewis, and this is supposedly his final role, a bit more about that in a little bit. He plays a 1950s London fashion designer, and along with his sister, played by Leslie Mansville, they are very well-renowned, very meticulous workers with their designs. And one day, Daniel Day-Lewis's character meets Vicky Krieps, who is just a waitress, and they form a very interesting relationship. Now, their on-screen chemistry is just dynamic, even though there is at least 30 years between them. It's an incredible, powerful, magnetic performance between all three. The performance is just phenomenal between all of them. So if this really is Daniel Day-Lewis's final role, he went out on an incredibly high note, and I expected nothing less from him. I haven't seen Vicky Krieps in anything else, but I was surprised at how well she did. I think she is a fairly newcomer to cinema. This is probably the biggest role she's ever done. But it's so powerful that I believe she should be nominated for Best Actress of the Year. And same with Leslie Mansville, definitely Best Supporting Actress. So all three should be nominated for their respective categories, which is very similar to what happened with Paul Thomas Anderson's The Master, where they were all nominated as well. Now, as for the plot of this movie, it's very interesting because there almost really isn't a plot. It's really about the characters and how they, I don't know, interact, I guess you could say, how they evolve and devolve and what is going on between them. This is a very character-centric focus. It's a very artistic film. I found it to be very beautifully done. And it's interesting because Paul Thomas Anderson, I guess he was the cinematographer himself. So I would be surprised if this movie wasn't nominated for Best Cinematography. And I expected nothing less coming from him. He has always done just beautiful camera work in his films. The other categories that I believe this film will be nominated in, because they were absolutely phenomenal, I was shocked by the score. This score is done by Johnny Greenwood, who has worked a couple times in the past with Paul Thomas Anderson. The score, I was surprised the score was this way. I don't think I've heard a score this well done since, I don't know, I guess the golden age of Hollywood. Very orchestral. It rises and builds in certain areas, and it's very quiet and contemplating, which fits perfectly with the scenes in this movie. Also, the costume design is absolutely magnificent, and so is the set design. If it doesn't win in those three categories at the Academy Awards, I would be so shocked because it is so well crafted and well done. Now, as for my negatives for this movie, there really aren't very many because the film is so meticulously crafted so well, which is just like Daniel Day-Lewis's character is very neurotic and meticulous. And we see that chemistry build between him and Vicky Krieps' character. Her character in the film is named Alma. It's very interesting because there is very much a power struggle going on between the two. He wants to mold her and she wants to mold him. Ultimately, I found this to be an incredibly dynamic duo on the screen. But like I said, as where this movie, I guess what you could say falters a little bit, is in the third act, where it does take a surprising twist, and you think this might be the end of the movie, but it's not. The movie goes on for another half hour, and the movie doesn't really have a plot anyway. It's just more of a character study, and you're wondering, where could this movie possibly go? And I felt like it did start to drag in the third act there, and it did pick back up just for a little bit, and I do felt that it redeemed itself there in that segment towards the end. But then it goes down an avenue I did not expect at all. It's a very surprising, but then again, not surprising, because if you pay close attention to Daniel Day-Lewis's character, he has a lot of meticulous and neurotic issues that we see come from certain areas. And if you pay close attention, you'll see why the character dynamics work the way they do. And I think that does work incredibly well. So overall, that is really my only complaint about the movie, is the pacing does falter towards there in the third act. But otherwise, Phantom Thread is a beautifully done film in every area, I would say. Just incredible. I can't give it the highest enough praise, honestly, but just because of some of those pacing issues, and there is maybe a couple character motivations that do seem lost and not fully fleshed out, or maybe not fully plausible. But in the end, I am giving Phantom Thread 9 stars out of 10. It is just an incredible film. I highly recommend all of those who love cinema go and see this film. This movie is not for everybody. Like I said, there really isn't a plot. It's more of a character study. But anyway, thank you so much for watching this review, and if you enjoyed it, please click the thumbs up button and make sure to hit subscribe, because this year at Silver Screen Guide, we plan on doing so many more reviews, and we are so excited to bring you a lot of brand new reviews, and we're going to be doing a lot of exciting retrospectives. So make sure to listen to the podcast, and there'll be articles on the website. Be on the lookout for those. Once again, thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to next time.